What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Super. I am one of your hosts, Spider, and I'm joined once again by Mr. VIP Frankie Washington. How are you doing today, sir?
I am awesome infinitely. No? Wait. That's wrong. I'm awesome. Awesome? Infinitely? I am,
I don't know what's going on.
you know what it is. I am infinitely awesome, sir. How are you doing?
I'm well. I am doing well. Yeah, just well. Well, hey. Hey. Oh,
This is the favorite part of somebody's day.
I hope it is.
Because they were like, it was like those guys, yes. Click it. They couldn't click it hard enough. And guess what? We deliver. Back again with another episode of All Things Super.
Back again with another episode. But if you don't know what it is, this is All Things Super, where every week we take a piece of superpowered movie, TV show, even trailer. We watch them, we react to them, we break it down, and we ask the question, is it super?
Is it?
Is it?
No, really, is it? Like, can you justify it?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is. I said it. I knew it had to be.
But if you like that, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on your favorite podcast streaming platform. And if you want to follow us on social media, the link will be in the description of the video.
I told Seven get my drink right next time. God damn.
Oh, God.
Play around with this nonsense. It's supposed to be right.
You're the only one that entertains him.
Love hard, man. Love hard. Don't apologize.
There you go.
The best apology is change behavior. I'll leave it at that.
All right, we getting deep.
Wait. I gotta do the spot. Spider, I gotta do the spot. Get your engines ready. This is the next edition of PlayStation's movies, where they took IP that you love and went, we're going to make this a movie. And here's the thing. This is based on a true story.
It was.
How many people knew that?
I mean, I knew it when they said it.
Did you know it when it happened, when it came out?
No, I had never heard. I had never heard of GT Academy.
I'd never heard of it either.
And apparently it was going on for a few years before before Jan even won.
I'm a gamer and I never heard of it.
And so
you know what? I think I kind of heard like this much of it, but
this much.
I like a Disney this much. Like I'm not a huge Gran Turismo fan.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why though. It was just too real.
Yeah, and I am the same way. The exact same way.
Too real. I lean more towards the Need for Speed.
Right.
When I can crash into a wall and kind of keep going. had the mode on, didn't even destroy my car. I just bam, because the cops were coming after me, right. And then I need to hit the donut. The most one is the best one. Hit the donut, and the underground was coming. Well, no, blacklist. Hit the donut, which is the pursuit chaser breaker or whatever, and to stop the cops from like following you, and then you just drive around the city, completing missions. Need for Speed.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo, you had to be accurate on that shift. You had to, oh my goodness, and you had to make sure your balances was right on your chassis, and you got to have the right drift and the right tires, and it was too much. I was like, man, I don't have a pit crew. But to think about all that was going on, and we was I was running from the cops in Need for Speed. I got away too.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, that's the point of it. You don't want to get caught every single time. But no, and that's why they literally said in the movie, Gran Turismo is not a racing game, it's a racing
No.
simulator, because
Yeah.
there is no other, or I would say there are a few other properties that go into the detail that Gran Turismo goes into, to
Yeah, man.
like the downshift, and like you said, the balance, to making sure that your tires are right, and you got to change your tires depending on what course you're driving on, what the weather is. And they touched on it in the movie very briefly when he, first got his steering wheel, because we get first introduced to Jan. He's opening up his package, and he's got the steering wheel,
Package.
and he's like on his headset with his friend, and he's basically putting everything together, and they're talking about this dude wants to race him, and he's like, man, I don't want to race him. He already said I'm better than him. I don't want to waste my time and race this dude. It's going to be a waste of my time. But even before he gets into the race, he's basically putting all his settings together on his car. He's making sure that everything is balanced right, and his friend is like, dude, he's waiting for you. He's like, I'm sorry, I just got lost in the customization. Which, if you are that type of person and you really
speaks to you,
it really speaks to you, you can get lost in that. I know people, Baldur's Gate 3 just came out, Dungeons and Dragons based video game.
Ooh.
And the first thing that you do when you play the game is you create your character. So we did, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, and we talked about the different roles, or the different classes, the different races of characters. So you have all of these things that you can do in character customization.
Is this a mobile game?
No, it's a PC game. It's on PC and PlayStation, or PC and Xbox. It's on PC and console.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you get to choose your class, you get to choose your race, you get to make all of these customizations to your character. You get to pick your, depending on the class you pick your abilities, pick your spell slots, all this other kind of stuff. And for those type of people who get into those RPGs like that, I was seeing on social media, people were saying they would spent like 3-4 hours creating a custom character because they just wanted to get it perfect. And
dude, that was the same way with WWE, so I understand.
Right, creating a custom character, creating your move sets, creating a finisher. And don't talk about when they started making a custom finisher where you could just tie moves together.
Oh my god, you getting all kind of, and I'm gonna pick you back up, and I'm gonna just do stuff that nobody. I slammed them like 3 times, and then turn around and suplex them, and then do a funky pin just to make you mad. Like, just put my foot on you, because you're dead. You don't even need, you're not kicking out.
Give him a super kick to a DDT to pop him back up, and
you're making me want to play right now.
But yeah, it depends on what you gravitate towards when it comes to these type of games, and you can just lose yourself in all of those different kind of customizations. So I feel like they definitely captured the passion,
essence.
Yeah, the essence of the game, but also the passion from Jan and how much this meant to him. Even because we don't really get to see him play the game too much. So it's not like we're getting the impression that he's obsessed, but we can see that it is something that he values, everything that he does. And we can see how important it is to him.
With the easy conflict with his father and his brother who plays sports, and his father is trying to get him into sports or get active. And I like the fact that they picked a kid that was not, on the heavier side, so you can't say that, well, he's just in his room playing games.
Stereotypical gamer.
Stereotypical gamer. So this guy, he's not. I mean, he's a regular kid. He's playing the games, but at the same time, his father is still against the idea of he's sitting there playing the game all day. And he wants him to get out and wants him to get active. He's like, you should play sports. And he's like, we had this conversation.
Right.
I'm not into sports. And it's okay. It's okay for him not to be into sports, but yet and still his father is looking at him like, you're not being realistic. I think they even showed in a trailer. He's like, do you know how much it takes to race cars?
Right.
And it's like, so literally the odds are stacked up against the character. Right. You have no possible way that this is ever going to happen for you. So as an audience, we're like, damn, it's like, then he even goes further and gets a job, goes to his dad's job and
but that was punishment.
Well, at the same time, he stole the
But I
car.
mean, he had a job. He was working in like a mall selling pantyhose or whatever.
Is that what he was doing? That wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. What man wants to fold pantyhose all day?
I mean,
I saw the
I was
Hunger
about to say
Games, and it's like
if you into that kind of thing.
I volunteer for tribute for the Hunger. That's why I saw the Hunger Games. So yeah, I mean, it was a great contrast. Is the point that I'm making. We starting off with a great contrast.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't know while I was watching the movie that I found out is that his mom, the actress, is Jerry Halliwell. And if you don't know who Jerry Halliwell is, if you're familiar with the Spice Girls, she was Ginger Spice.
Yes, I did know that. I recognized it immediately.
Didn't
it made me want to start singing Spice Girl songs. If you want to be my lover, I was like, yeah. Yes.
But I gotta say, she
Spice
did a great job because I don't know what else she's been in or like what else she's acted in because I really haven't followed her career as an actress.
She don't have an IMDb page.
You know, everybody has IMDb.
I don't have one yet.
I mean, she's acted in a few things.
Okay, I've never seen her in anything before this.
Yeah, she's got a couple of shorts. She was in an episode of Sex and the City back in 2003.
As
she was
herself?
No, she was actually playing a character.
Oh, okay.
She was in Crank High Voltage, the Crank sequel with Jason Statham.
You know what? I did not see her in that. I did see the movie though. I hope to never see it again.
It was wild. Crank was wild. Crank High Voltage was just insane.
Crank was a classic. Crank High Voltage is one of the classics that you should never pull the dust off. Just leave it where it is.
Yeah, so she's been in a few things, but yeah, I guess I wasn't expecting her to be in it and didn't really pay too much attention to her. At least looks wise, because I mean the mom wasn't really in it too much.
Wait, what?
I'm saying I didn't pay attention. I didn't pay attention to her face. I just saw her as the mom character.
When they brought her on screen, it was in short spurts, kind of like, wait, isn't that? And then when they finally showed her face, I was like, oh, it is.
Yeah.
And that was a treat.
But she absolutely killed it in that in the scene where he gets into an accident and like she's crying, like she brought the emotion.
Yeah, man. So I don't know if she took classes for that. I don't know where she had to go mentally to be able to pull out that performance, but it definitely solidifies some realism in the movie. And for a movie that's not about video games, that is about simulations,
right?
That was more on brand for what we were doing. So shout out to Spice Girl. If you want to be my lover.
God, I'm surprised they didn't have that in the movie somewhere.
Yeah, they can't afford that. Those royalties cost, man. You seen what they did with the car, how they flipped the car? That's the budget right there.
And the thing about it is that so we talked about how this is, you know, a true story and everything, but Jan,
that's what they say.
It's based on a true story, I should say, because Jan wasn't the first to graduate from the academy. Of course, some of the people who he was in the GT Academy with, their names have been changed. Like, because I went into looking all of, you know, what was going on because I wanted to know, were they still doing it? And I think they stopped in 2016, 2017, something like that. So it's not currently still going on. But
how many races did they win though?
They had a lot actually from all of the people that they had come through, because they got to a point to where they weren't just doing it in a UK.
Europe.
They had a GT America, they had a GT Europe, they had a GT Australia. So they had racers from all over the world.
You know what it is, Spider? I think I saw like a Disney Plus of it. Like really like that much. Like that much. But again, I didn't play the game and I knew it wasn't gonna let me drive. Not to mention, I kind of been a plus size kid my whole life.
You would have
So
not fit into
getting into that little bitty car, I would have been driving like this, which is already, and then you got all the
No,
stuff
you'd have been
on with the
driving. Your
guard.
head would have been on the ceiling like that.
Yeah, they
The
got
steering would have been up
convertible
here.
ones like that. They don't let you do convertible ones.
No, I think you'd have to be like Indy 500 to where you have just the top, and then you
Yeah, but
still,
that's
and
more
then you still
dangerous.
be sitting up.
Yeah, you gotta sit like this. The only reason Iron Man was able to get inside that car for Iron Man 2, because Robert Downey Jr. is not a very tall man. You didn't see Vision driving like that.
But at that point,
Know
Vision
your
didn't even
hero.
have a body.
Nobody knows. Then he had a body with no memory.
Right.
And now he's just mayonnaise Vision out there
Just out
doing
there
whatever.
somewhere.
Transferring, just
But,
touching foreheads, I guess.
Sure.
I'm Vision. I see it all.
Just booping people on the forehead.
There's
But
no way he don't get infected with Ultron. I'm sure that's coming. Wouldn't that be horrible if the Avengers had to fight Vision?
mm-hmm.
Let's say Ultron get in. I know. We're coming back. Hold on. Let's the conversation flow. If if Ultron gets into Vision and the Avengers have to fight him, do they win that fight?
Without Tony, I say probably not. Because I feel like if they had Tony, Tony would find a way to be able to, excuse me, like get into Vision and try to like force Ultron out and maybe transfer the consciousness of Ultron into something else and try to save Vision.
Him.
But without Tony, I don't think there's anybody that we've
You don't
met.
think Thor? You don't think Thor can? No, because Vision can pick up Mjolnir. Well, the old Vision can. We don't know if vitamin D milk Vision could pick up Mjolnir.
I don't know. I mean, if it's a matter of being inorganic and being able to pick it up, because like they said, they put the hammer in the elevator still goes up.
The elevator still goes up.
Elevator's
Is
not
it
worthy.
Is it though? It picked it up. It picked it up. It's not. It's different from when it's in the desert. It ain't like, you know. And here's the thing too. Let's cross universes because we already did. So let's say Mjolnir is in the DC universe. Can Tara pick it up if she picked it up with the dirt?
Now you just making just.
I'm giving people stuff to think about. Yeah, y'all let us know in the comments if you think Tara can lift Mjolnir. If she controls the dirt, let's go even further. Can Magneto control Mjolnir?
No, because I don't think that is any type of earth metal to where you'll be able
it's not
to
an earth metal. He's overall metal. He's the metalist. He controls metal.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a magnetic metal. I don't think Mjolnir is made out of a magnetic metal.
You know what? This is a Chat GPT question.
No, how is that a Chat GPT question?
You got to do something with Chat GPT. Put it in there.
All AI does is replicate things that already exist.
Hey, what do you think about the idea of they taking a kid that played a video game and strapping them to a rocket and saying, "Good luck with that. We'll give you some training."
I mean,
good luck with that.
It was a novel idea. It was definitely
a dangerous idea.
It's definitely a dangerous idea. But I mean, the sport itself is a dangerous sport.
Of course,
because you had the Kappa kid, Mr. Gold and Black and Yellow, basically the villain of the movie. He wrecks his vehicle and he's a trained racer. He's a professionally trained racer. And he's trying to hot dog and do all this other kind of crazy shit. And granted, he ended up speeding into the back of another vehicle, but because he was trying to show off. So I mean, shit happens.
And that's the lesson that we've learned today, ladies and gentlemen. You get in a race car and shit happens. Because the accident that Jan had was Spider. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault, Spider.
I mean,
if they didn't drill that fact that it wasn't his fault home, oh my God. We got it. It wasn't his fault, but he
So
did kill a person.
he did, and that's an actual factual thing.
That happened too?
That happened in real life. It happened exactly the way that they showed it off in the movie.
Wow. So this movie is real.
But like I said, some of the characters there, because like there was no Maddie, the American dude that was in the academy. There was no Maddie that was in the academy with him while Jan was going. Um, and so of course is a lot of the stuff is like over dramatized for the movie and
Of course, it
everything.
has to be.
But yeah, no, the accident was a real thing that happened, and so I would imagine that for people who knew of Jan's story, because we got the title cards every time we went to a new city of it or a new race or anything like that. So I think that it was called like Nuremberg or something like that. I'm pretty sure people who were familiar knew that once we got that title card, they were like, "Oh shit,
Oh, here it come.
here it is."
Here it come.
But people were upset because of they felt like they were using that accident sort of as like motivation for him to like be a better racer.
Uh, shouldn't it affect you some kind
Well,
of way?
no, it's not that it did. Not that they were upset that they portrayed the accident affecting him, but for that to be like the catalyst of, oh, I had this accident, but it wasn't my fault. It's not going to stop me from racing. When in real life, he had been racing for years before that accident happened. So it wasn't like it was something like, oh, I'm still so new and this is affecting me in this way. So it was misrepresented in the movie. So people were like, they don't know if that was
It's
in good
not. It's not
taste.
real. It's not true. It's based off of a semi-true story.
Yeah.
They say the same thing for what's the Freddie Mercury movie, Rhapsody.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, that's how you say it when you say it correctly. So they said they changed a lot of that stuff in that movie.
Well, I imagine they
But the,
always do, because like
but the,
you take any movie that's based off of actual people, things have to be over dramatized to make the movie itself entertaining. Because a lot
they
of
didn't
things that
over
happen,
dramatize NWA straight out of Compton.
well, I mean,
All that happened
yeah, all it happened, but it didn't happen in the rapid
in that
succession that it
order.
shows in the movie.
Yeah, because we got a runtime, but it
Exactly.
happened.
So things that happen
Um,
over years of a person's life, it make it seem like it's just a matter of months. Because like that, I think they said at the race, that 24-hour race that he podiumed in
Oh my
at the
god,
end of
that's
the movie, I think that
crazy.
was like one of his first races that he raced in after he got out of the academy.
That's crazy
So
to
it's like
go
the whole
from
like, oh,
out the academy to
you gotta get your license and all of this other kind of stuff. And oh, for us to prove that gamers can be racers, let's enter into this, this 24-hour race to make it seem like, oh, this is to prove a point, when actually just a standard race that people normally do as a part of being a race car driver.
did that take anything out of the movie for you, or did that help solidify the authenticness of the movie?
It didn't take anything out for me, because of course I didn't know about it until after I watched the movie and then looked everything up. But it didn't it didn't diminish like anything that the movie had did. I mean, because it's your stereotypical movie about a person who kind of comes from nothing. And not to say that he was coming
Underdog.
from nothing, because his family worked and everything, so it's not like they were
It's,
poor.
it's an underdog story.
Yeah, the underdog story. This kid who's the amateur coming in and now getting thrown in with the pros,
The
and
pros are like, you don't belong here,
exactly his
rookie.
pit crew was making fun of him and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, they were shitty
Yeah,
in the beginning.
and go through all
He's
of that, and at the end of the day, of course, it's you triumph over everything. You overcome all your obstacles, you overcome your fears, you overcome your like all your hangups and everything. I will say that I do like the way that they set up like his uh in the final race, the 24-hour race, when he sees that the other guy, the guy in the rainbow car, I don't remember his name, but the guy in the rainbow
Skittles.
car got into the accident.
Skittles.
But he got into the accident, his car set on fire and everything, and so that
Mm-hmm.
kind of like messed with Jan's head, and so he's slowing down and falling behind and everything. And what was it? Jack, David Harbour's character.
Arbor.
Basically, he's trying to get Jan to focus, to snap out of it, and because we got early on, you know, Jan listens to Kenny G and, you know, Enya and all this kind of stuff to relax him. It's a lot of ethereal music, and so Jack plays the Kenny G over the intercom
Radio,
and it like it snaps Jan out of it. It makes him mad and everything, and that energy that we get from David Harbour's character. I would say that David Harbour was absolutely the best part of this movie.
Let me tell you something. Underutilized, underrated. Can't wait to see him in the Thunderbolts. Can't wait to see what he brings to the character.
Yeah.
Because one of the best parts of Black Widow.
Yeah. he has something about
clearly
him.
said Stranger Things.
Yeah. But no, he just has something about him as a character, or him in his line delivery when it's because I would say that Jack Slater in Gran Turismo was a lot like Hopper in Stranger Things, in the sense of when he's training them, he's an asshole to them, but he's an asshole because he has to get them to understand how serious this is. But when it comes to Jan winning the race, and Danny, Orlando Bloom's character, is like, well, let's hold on. Maybe Jan didn't win. Maybe Maddie won. Right. And Jack was like, no, Jan won. We can see it on the video. Jan won. He was like, but he's not camera ready. He's not interview ready. Right. He's nervous. He's
right. He was thinking about the bigger picture, like somebody marketable.
Yeah. And Jack was like, he won. Fair is fair. So let the kid race. And so we see how Jack became to, you know, care about him. Like, he was the only one that was really behind Jan the entire way.
100%.
And so that
Jan didn't even pay him for that either. I just want y'all to know.
I mean, we don't know that. He, you know, he got that bonus. We don't know. We don't know. He might have, you know, kind of gave him a little bit.
Like,
I appreciate it. But
you want to race or you want to go home? Want to race or you want to go home? I'm gonna need about 20 stacks.
Right. But but that scene, that particular scene where he's like, "Are you angry?" and Jan's like, "Yeah, I'm angry." He was like, "Well, get angry. Light a fire under you. Do whatever you have to do, but get yourself back in this race. This is like our only opportunity to be able to prove ourselves, and we can't do that if you're, you know, dealing with self-pity and wallowing in your emotions." He's like, there's a time and a place for that, but right now you have to get back into the race. And, you know, all of the stuff that they, like we say, you know, dramatizing for the movies, like him using the imagine, like, not the track lines that are the race lines that race car drivers normally follow.
Simple premise, easy to understand.
And so again, we get that early in the movie where he's racing and his dad comes in and he's like, well, why don't you always follow the lines? And so he explained, you know, the lines are inefficient. Everybody follows the lines, but I know that I can, you know, I can beat him. I can go outside or I can cut inside. And because I know my car, because he's building his car to where he knows how it's going to react when he's turning a certain way, if he's turning at a certain speed, I know that I can cut around them or I can cut, you know, under them and I can beat them. And so that comes back, that callback at the end of the movie, and he's like, let me race my way. And then Danny comes and he's throwing a fit because he's like, no, you're going to lose and all this other kind of stuff. And Jack is like telling him, shut up. Like, let the kid do what he knows how to do. It's like, this is the reason that we recruited him, because he was the best. And he showed it. And so you have to give him the opportunity to be able to do that. And he bobbed and weaved his ass around the track. And, you know, ultimately they made third place. I've never seen a bigger celebration for third place. But I mean, podium is podium. You know,
Podium
with
is
the number of
podium.
people that you have to overcome in order to get
Podium is
to
podium,
that
Spider.
podium, I mean, it's a monumental feat. I couldn't do it.
Hey, ask a real racer, any racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
Winning
Yeah,
is
it
winning.
goes winning is winning. It goes to show you that it's a lot more difficult than just crashing through a wall like I did with Need for Speed. It was simulation. It was real. It's like you have to strategically position your car, and like you said, you have to know your car well enough to know. I mean, look how they just describe that point. Jan knew the brakes were slick from a simulation. He never raced a race car before, but he was telling you, I slowed down. The brakes were glazed.
Right.
The brakes were glazed. Like, there's no way you know that,
Right.
dude. It's like, he knew. And I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit that they put in there because I knew too. How did I know? Because Jan says so.
Like, I trust Jan. I believe him.
If he said it was,
if he said the brakes were glazed,
it
goddamn it, those
glazed,
brakes were glazed.
Hey, and then we went and found out they were glazed.
They were
So
glazed.
that
I
level,
still don't even know what that means.
They got grease on the brakes.
I don't know.
I could look it up, but then my hands would not be doing what they're doing right now.
But no, I think that it was definitely, I won't say it was exhilarating. Like it wasn't like, because being a true story or based on a true story,
that's what they say.
We know how it's gonna turn out, right? We know what the ending is. It's gonna be.
I actually didn't know.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't. No, I honestly didn't know. I didn't think that he would come into third, but I didn't think he would come into first either. I didn't know if it was going to have a happy ending, because sometimes based on true stories,
Sometimes
you don't get a happy ending.
Yeah.
You just get a conclusion, and that's what it is. And you enjoy the journey, and it's like, okay, well, that was interesting. And that's it. That based on a true story, and this is what happened. And you wish we could go back and rewrite history, but we can't. It's January 6th, you know? It's like, oh, hey, where were you?
Why?
where were you on January? I was watching from the safety of my home.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, you can't go back and rechange history. But at the same time, I'm glad it had a happier ending. And like you said, I've never seen so many people get excited for third place.
Yeah.
But it was what placing meant.
Right.
And you got that out of the movie. You understood that, we don't have to be first. We just need to place.
Right.
And
we need to show the world that we, as quote unquote gamers, can come into this sphere. We can come into this realm. We don't need all of, the bells and the whistles and, all of your, I mean, because they still had training. So I won't say that they didn't need training.
Of course. But
we don't have.
Nobody was using simulations at all. So that's what it is. It's like you're clocking those hours in the simulator.
Mm-hmm.
Now you clock those practical hours
on track.
Combined. I mean, at the same time, it's like he said, I know this track. One of the coolest things he did. I've raced
this track thousands of times.
Yeah, Gran Turismo is actually
can't really say that they've done.
Boom. So the combination, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I like my movies to do. I like them to make sense. So don't be pulling stuff out of, what's that Spider-Man Spider-Ham did?
Hammer Space.
Hammer Space. Don't be pulling stuff out of Hammer Space. If he would have pulled a new steering wheel out of Hammer Space and said, licked his hand and like, I got this, guys, and snapped it in and started doing Mario stuff and throwing shells, you would have been totally taken out the movie.
A completely different movie.
But I'm saying the idea was the simulations with Gran Turismo was one of the most accurate simulation racing games in history, probably still to this day. They was able to capture that inside the movie, and at the same time make it mean something. At the same time, get us invested so much that we're cheering for third. Who ever thought you would cheer for third?
I mean, who ever thought we would cheer for fourth? He had to get into fourth place so he could get his license.
You're absolutely correct. Because
that was a hard fought climb to get to fourth place.
It was not blinking, you'll miss it. He failed a lot.
Oh, yes.
And remember, we talked about this many times. Take your story there, take your character and run him through. He's not alive. He's not, he's your baby. He's not alive, though. The character, you can dump all, you're the god to this character. You could just give him the worst, whatever, but at least let him come through at the end, you know, because you've seen everything that he's gone through, which makes Peter Parker one of the most relatable characters because he got real relatable issues.
So much shit.
I wouldn't even. I'll quit too. I wouldn't even want to be. I seen one time how they say how Venom just shows up and just starts doing horrible things to Peter, and he can't sense them.
Right.
Hey, Peter. Bye, Peter. Like, I ain't trying to kill you. I'm just going to
kill you. I'm just going to
mess up your day. Like this dude here. And that's again, it's more entertaining as an audience member for us to understand that, man, this dude need a win. Like, golly.
Yeah. And it's also, again, that's another part that wasn't really true to life, because when Jan got out of the academy, he was very successful early on in his career. He didn't go through like all of these different losses and everything. I'm sure some races he finished in like lower places than he would like to finish, but he was
I can agree with that wholeheartedly, but he did finish high.
Yeah. But
if not, they would have kicked him out the camp, right? They're gonna keep investing in somebody that's losing, and losing. I think you got like 3 races. They start looking for somebody else.
Like, you know what, this is not gonna work out.
We're gonna bench you. Yeah. You can be a part of the pit crew. You want to change the tire?
What was there was a part in the movie where one of the guys from the pit crew, they lost like the bearing for the wheel or whatever. And he didn't have a spare. And I think I felt like that part was just like adding unnecessary drama to the race, because he was already, you know, like not necessarily behind, but he was kind of just hanging in there. And I was like, oh, well, we got to make a way for him to lose a couple places so we can see him fight back. I feel like we saw enough of him, like, you know, being down and having to kind of climb back up the leaderboard in order to get to where
there was a lot of that.
So I felt like that part was just a little, I don't know. I just felt like it was unnecessary.
Are we doing this? Are we going into the stuff that we don't like? Are we doing it? Okay, let's get into this right here. Okay. There was some things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. First was saying that, you know, they drove the fact that it wasn't his fault home like way too much. Then some of the things that they had, like you said, stacked against them, I do feel like they try to double down to make his triumphant return that much more, especially when, you know, your head should have been in it. Let me ask you this question. Do we feel like the love interest was a distraction, or is it something that we just established and then we just kind of left it alone? Is we good there?
I think that it was pretty insignificant.
Do we have to have it? Why do we need it? Because I do feel like it didn't really go anywhere, but at the same time, it was there.
It was there. I felt like it was more interesting when they were at like the little bonfire thing, like that little intimate conversation they had, a little one-on-one, her asking him, you know, if you could go to any country, because they were talking about, you know, just getting away from it all, getting out of Cardiff. Say if you could go to any country, or if you could go anywhere, where would you want to go? And, you know, Jan said he wanted to go to Tokyo. And I mean,
that's the most popular answer.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it was good for the callback and everything when he finally got his signing bonus. And, you know, Jack was telling them, you know, well, he was asking him, what are you going to do with your money? And he was like, I don't know, buy a flat, you know, and he's like, oh my God, you're so boring. It's like, call up the girl, put on a private jet, go fly somewhere. And he's like, you know, they found ways to incorporate it in the movie, but it didn't really add anything, but it also didn't take away from anything. I don't feel like the relationship that he had with Audrey, I think that was her name.
If it wasn't, it is now.
But I don't think that the relationship that he had with her, like, it was egregious or anything. Like, it would beat you over the head. Like, they had a fight because he wasn't focusing, or they had a fight because he was focusing on too much. You know how sometimes they do. You get
Oh,
into a relationship with
100%. You
this
got to have
girl,
conflict.
right? You get into a conflict. Oh,
You're
he
not gonna win. You can't win.
right,
Adrian is all I
exactly.
got. Did
All
you
of that.
drive your Ferrari off?
Yeah, her name was Audrey. But it was basically, it was very minimal. So I feel like it wasn't needed. It didn't really add anything to the movie. It didn't really add any type of dramatic significance to his story. But at the
Mm,
same time, I didn't mind it. It wasn't like it took me out of the movie. Like, oh, we got to go back to her again. This all
yeah.
this kind of stuff. Because she was
I
in
mean,
it so infrequently.
early.
She was in it
Yeah, it
early,
was
and then she left, and
just a call
then
back.
and he was like basically stalking her on social media, too scared to send her a DM. She was like, when she left, she was like, send me a DM sometime, and he never did.
Yeah, so that part.
but
That was my issue.
but yeah, outside of all of that, it was just like, oh, okay, yeah. He called her. He finally called her up. They went to Tokyo.
Flew
Fun
out.
fact: the sushi chef, while they were in Tokyo, was the creator of
Han from Fast and Furious. No,
No,
I'm just
was the
joking. I'm just
creator
joking.
of
I'm
Gran
just joking.
Turismo. The guy who created Gran Turismo, he made a cameo in it.
Isn't it great when they do things like that? When you see like Stan Lee pop up in the MCU and you
Yeah,
be like, hey, that's Stan Lee. Where's Jack Kirby?
I really feel like, and I guess they didn't do it because he's older than what he was when he created Gran Turismo. But I feel like just let him be the actual
His
person.
character.
Yeah, just let
Yeah.
him be, who he is
Well,
as a person.
that could have been a situation he didn't want to
That's
play
also
that
true.
role.
That's
Because,
also true.
sometimes you don't want to, you're like, no, I'm not an actor. I'm a simulation designer.
But I do appreciate the fact that when they started off the movie, they made a really big emphasis to kind of talk about the care of the attention and the detail and everything he
Yeah.
put in to creating
Tracks.
Gran Turismo, like evaluating the tracks, like
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the cars were, real life accurate, and all of the other stuff that he went
Sounds
into, right,
and
and sound and
oh,
like getting actual, because normally they'll have stuff, if things artificial, it's computer generated, all this other kind of stuff. But for them to like actually use, and I'm pretty sure they probably used different vehicles,
of
and
course.
their exhaust noises and all this other kind of stuff is
Of
actually
course.
based on the engine that they had. And if you build that car in the game, you're going to hear what that car would actually sound like.
That's incredible. The hours that they put into just creating and capturing all of that information, all of that raw data. Think about who had to process all that raw data and say the Z26 sounds like this. It's like, no, that's a Z28. Like, oh my God.
But one of the things that it bothered me, and then it was like in the movie it was cool, and then I was like, all right, this is a little bit too much. But then I came back around on the end of it again. I was like, all right, well, it's kind of cool. The number of drone shots that they had, like zooming
Mm,
all over the track and everything, and it's like when they first
mm.
started doing it, I was like, okay, it's a cool way because Jack and Danny was when they were in GT Academy, Danny comes out there with a helicopter, and Jack is like, I'm not gonna get in the helicopter and watch them and evaluate their driving from the helicopter. Of course, smash cut
Of
that he's in the
course.
helicopter. And
Yeah.
so
It instantly brought me back to we don't have enough fuel to make it to such and such. It's like, nah, we're good. And the
and then
helicopter falls out the sky.
exactly.
Instantly. I'm like, you don't have a good track record with helicopter Jack.
No. No. But so we get them flying a helicopter over the track and everything, and then of course we get the drone shots there, and they're zooming in, they're coming in low while the driver's coming around the curves and everything. And so I was like, okay, that's pretty cool because that's a different way that if you are watching these type of races on TV,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get these kind of angles. And of course, if you're watching these races in person, you're literally like,
Definitely don't
for
get
the
the
people
angle.
who are sitting on the side of the track, like for those races that kind of go out in the country, like where Jan happened to crash,
Right.
those people are sitting there and just waiting for these cars to come by. And, you know, however many laps they do, but it's like you see nothing, and then you see them all fly by you, and then you just sit there, you wait for them to come around again. At least the people who are like in the grandstands, they might have screens where they can kind of watch the different angles of the race. The people out there, they're in their lawn chairs, just sitting there, just waiting, get them all past, and all right, cool. And go back to doing whatever they were doing.
Keep grilling. I missed it. From the bathroom.
Right.
From
They go to the bathroom, and then you just hear all of the cars pass. Like, God damn it, I missed it.
God damn.
But, you know, and so, of course, we see all of the different races, and of course, every single race has to have some kind of drama. Something happens, and you know, so we get the drone shots, and I was like, all right. It's okay. I get it. You had a drone on hand, so you wanted to get the shots. But then we get to the 24-hour race, and you know they of course go back to the drone shots. I was like, okay, I'm all right with it. I understand. You know, it's a different way to look at everything.
Every director got their signature.
Yeah,
and his is the drone shots.
Directed by Neil Blomkamp.
Drum roll. I couldn't even do the drum roll.
Oh, I didn't know you. But Neil Blomkamp, he directed District 9, he directed Elysium, he directed Chappie. So he's got some very I feel like all three of those movies kind of follow this sort of same kind of
it's a universe.
Post-apocalyptic, you know, well, it's not a universe. It's different universes. Because District 9
the same one.
No, District 9.
Chappie was in District 9.
Chappie was in District 9.
If you look for him.
I'm like, we have aliens and then we have robots.
If you don't see them, keep looking.
But yeah, so he's a pretty acclaimed director, and I would say that he did a pretty good job.
So wait a minute. I'll just go ahead and ask a question since you just made that statement. Spider, is Gran Turismo? That's a car going by. Is it super?
Is Gran Turismo super?
I asked you first.
You're asking me the question, is Gran Turismo super?
For the third time.
For the third time. Is Gran Turismo super? Let me see. We're asking our question of, is Gran Turismo super?
Let's ponder on this.
Let's think about it. Let's dissect this. First of all, what is? But is Gran Turismo super? I would say not really. Not really. Because like I said, me going into the movie, knowing that this was based on a true story, I had the assumption that it was going to end positively. Like you said, you didn't know whether it was going to, you know, be a happy ending or, you know, just kind of come to a conclusion. And then, like, you know, what they do at the end, they have the freeze frame and then the little text at the bottom. Jan went on to win however many races.
Started doing crack and gave it all up. Right. You can now visit him at the correctional or whatever.
He's been in prison for 35 years.
You know what?
He's only 32.
Yeah. Denzel did the movie Flight, and that's how he was in prison and did the little caption at the bottom, right? He was talking to his son and was like, yeah, that's what happened. So I'm in here now.
Right.
I didn't see Sully, but I'm sure it's similar.
Yeah, I don't know.
I saw Flight.
Same premise. Different outcomes.
Different actor?
Definitely different actors.
Don't make it a race thing.
I mean, kind of hard not to. But no, I went into it just I felt like the conclusion was foregone, so there were really no stakes for me. But
we talked about that before. We talked about we go see a superhero movie. We know at the end of it he's going to triumphantly save the day.
Right. And so it's about the journey to get to that,
right?
Like I said, that foregone conclusion. And so I will say that, you know, it wasn't a boring movie by any means. I will give it that. But I think it was just fine. It was just a fine movie. I won't say that it was super because I feel like it wasn't anything that jumped out and made me go like, oh, that was amazing. You know, it wasn't anything like the crash, because going into it, I didn't know that the crash actually happened. So that was definitely surprising. And then
I actually forgot about the crash, even though they showed it in the trailer. I forgot about the crash in the movie.
Yeah, I didn't even really pay attention to the trailer that much. So I didn't even think about it. But then
It
to
wasn't
find
super
out,
going in.
but then to find out, like they, he actually killed somebody, and
Yeah, man, that
they,
sucks.
and I feel like
But it wasn't his fault.
but it wasn't his fault.
You
The fact that
know that crash.
when Maddie came to join them so they could do a 24-hour race, he was like, "Hey man, saw the news. Just want you to know that was a freak accident. It wasn't your fault." I'm like, everybody doesn't need to tell him that it wasn't his fault.
The breakdown in the bed, get out.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna race anymore because it wasn't your fault. Okay.
I will say the scene that it was a good scene, but remember how we were talking about that having those lines in the movies and like he didn't have to say it. It was kind of understood. But when his dad comes into his trailer before, the final race and everything, and his dad's telling him how proud he is of him, Diamond Hansu with the tears, absolutely, just the emotion that he was given, it was great. I feel like
he shines in almost everything he's in.
Yes.
I'm so upset they killed him in Guardians of the Galaxy.
I mean, he'll pop up somewhere else. His character from
again.
His character, well, I mean, his character from Captain Marvel became the character that he was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Correct.
But I don't know. He showed up in Shazam. I mean, he'll be somewhere else. I know Shazam is not part of the MCU. I'm just saying he pops up.
Dude, I jump universes all the time. I'm multiversal.
You never know when we'll get a surprise Diamond Hansu. But I feel like him acting across from Archie, the guy that played Jan, I just felt like Archie was just kind of out of his league in that scene.
Oh my god!
Because Diamond is giving all of this emotion and the tears and everything, and so Jan is emotional too, and he's telling him, "I'm proud of you. I'm doing this for you." And he has his, his football club, like his sticker on his helmet and everything,
right?
And like his dad telling him that he's proud of Jan was impactful. Jan telling him that he's proud of his dad, I was just like, I was like, I understand the sentiment. The line delivery wasn't as impactful as I'm sure that they hoped it would get.
Polite compliment, ping pong, polite. Wow, what is this word I'm trying to stutter with? Being polite to each other,
right? It was just like, "Hey, man, you look cool today." I'm like, "Yeah, you look cool too."
Hey, you look cool too.
I'm saying it back to you because I feel like I have to say it back to you.
Hey,
like,
I'm proud of you. Hey, I'm proud of you too,
man.
Did you take the trash out last night? Oh yeah, man. I'm proud of you too, man. There's nobody gonna take that trash out like you do. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here risking my life, but you play football. All right, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Yeah.
But it was just like little moments like that the emotion coming from the actor. Now, like you said, when he was in the hospital bed and he was yelling at them to get out because they're sitting there trying to tell him that it's not his fault. And of course he don't want to hear that. It wasn't his fault. Of course he doesn't want to hear that because you just told him that he killed somebody.
Yeah.
And the last thing that for a caring and empathetic person, if you find out that even if it was an accident, you accidentally took someone's life, that's not what you want to hear in that moment. It's not your fault. It's
not when doing what you love.
Right.
Yeah.
So definitely he.
But wait, Spider. At the same time, I like the fact that they had that because if you would have just been like, "Oh, he died. Oh, okay. Well, when's the next race?"
Right. Yeah.
We would have been like, "Oh, you heartless bastard!
Oh, you son of a bitch!" Like I don't give a shit if you win your next race. You can crash and burn for all I care.
And that's what I think we were doing in some of these sections. We were painting by numbers, and some of these sections like going through the traditional beats of you have to feel this for this guy or girl, and then we'll emerge them from whatever you're feeling later on with this third place placement.
But yeah, so I mean, there were just different parts of the movie, and it was just like you said, kind of by the numbers, and we kind of have to follow this his rise to success and everything. But like we were talking about before, just the amount of struggle and times he got beaten down. It was like he's going through GT Academy and he was technically in fifth place or about under the line, wherever the line cutoff was. Should have got kicked out. But because Jack was impressed with his knowledge and he had
Of
something that these other
course.
drivers didn't have, got to
He
keep him
he
in.
know when synthetic glazed brakes feel like,
Right.
from a simulation.
And like he has the heart that nobody else had and everything, all sorts of kind of stuff. And it was just I mean, that's the way they portrayed it. he had the natural
Everybody
instinct.
there had heart.
I mean,
I don't know.
I agree with that. But he had a lot of Kenny G is what he had. That's another thing that was actually true. Like it's just
What's that?
him listening to Kenny G to calm himself down before he raced. That's a real thing. Jan
Is that on Wikipedia? Because
yes,
if it's
it is
on
actually.
Wikipedia, I don't know how real it is. Then
I mean, they showed him. They attached a picture of him with earbuds in his ear. So I mean, I'm inclined to believe.
Metallica plays through those same headphones. Because remember the other guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg,
Yeah.
and they were going to the chase, and he was like, "You can't play this, man. We got to play something to get." It's like, yeah, that's not. I mean, he was different, and that's what they wanted to say. He was a different kind of individual.
Yeah.
So, what other way can we say that without making him an a-hole?
Right.
He listens to Kenny G and it relaxes him and makes him focus.
Why did it? Of course, the American had to be the asshole. So Matty in GT Academy, he was the cocky, like, oh, I'm here to win, and all this other kind of stuff. It's always the American.
Because film directors hate America. Haven't you seen Independence Day? There's a lot of alien invasions come to America first and destroy stuff. When
True.
Mars attacks and Mars need moms and Mars, just a movie Mars with Don Cheadle. Why don't we go to Mars again? It's not they have a track record of
didn't
not
Ice Cube star in the movie about Mars?
Straight Out of Martian.
No, that's not the name. That's absolutely not the name. But Mr. VIP, Frankie Washington.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to Gran Turismo, is it super?
Fifth place. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I was really thinking about giving this movie super status, and let me explain why. Because a movie has to be told, and there are certain beats that a movie has to hit if you want certain reactions from your audience. You got to take your character through the ringer if you want to make them triumphant at the end. You got to have obstacles set up against them. You got to have relationships that don't work out. We both know that the movie is inside of the drama. The gripes that I had with this is we do have a new actor in, gentleman that played Jan. I think I only seen him in one other thing, and he was like a supporting character.
Heart of Stone.
Heart of Stone sure was in Heart of Stone, and we've seen how well that did. So, I mean, it wasn't his fault that the stone of the heart was stony or broken.
But he's been in some other things. He was in Midsummer. Yeah, he was in Midsummer with Florence Pugh. Let's see. What else has he been in? He was in a few things, and I think a lot of his stuff that he was in is like British stuff.
Oh, okay.
He's starting to break out into like American films or
clearly he's the lead in this. So his star is doing nothing but rising, and but like you said before, when you put him up against a more experienced actor, it shows.
Yeah, you see the inexperience.
It shows, and it shows hard. It shows a lot, and his mom did a better job in some scenes than I would say he did as the lead. And that's not taking anything away from him. Like, as time goes on, I'm sure he will develop his craft and become a more outstanding actor.
Yeah.
And when he's placed in these scenes, quiet is kept. When you're on the screen with another actor, you should be like hip hop. It should be a comedy. You should be trying to murder that scene.
Right. Yeah,
So
because even in scenes with David Harbour, when they were just kind of when David Harbour was kind of like explaining, you know, what, like they were sitting in a restaurant, sitting in a hotel lobby or whatever, and so he was asking David Harbour, asking Jack what his favorite track was, and he's explaining it to him, Le Mans, right? He's explaining it to him. He was like, and that's where we get the quote about, you know, you
Let's go
podium on
be
Le Mans,
immortal.
you're immortal, right? And so him sort of David Harbour just kind of giving that sort of monologue, him reminiscing about his favorite track and how he loved to drive it and what it is about it that he loves. It's like he's sitting and he's doing all of that, and then Jan responds and he's just like, oh. Like, just he didn't really,
Right.
and I know that
were
was
you asleep?
it was in a, I know it was in the writing, you know, they allowed David Harbour to have his moment in that scene, but you know, it's like you get that, and then the next thing that he asks, you know, oh well, what are you gonna do with this signing bonus? Like, oh, I don't know, buy a flat. And you know, it's the energy of the two
Didn't
characters in
match.
the movie. It's like,
Yeah.
you just got your license. You should be like hyped.
Over the
You should be
moon.
like
Like
excited. This is something that you've been fighting for, to prove to
your
everybody
whole
that you
life.
belong in this sport. And he's just like, well, I don't know, buy a flat. You know, and you're just like,
And the other thing that I didn't particularly care for was, I understand he was busy doing all the things to make himself great, but at the same time, a lot of time had passed, and I feel like the tension between the father and son had gone on for far too long, because the father didn't have any animosity towards his son. It's like the opportunity became available, you're going, you're going to show your family that you got what it takes, but you were racing. Like, you got your money, they should have been kind of brought into the picture sooner.
yeah,
And maybe we could have had more discussion, father and son. But I know we had to have the big moment later on, but again, it felt so by the numbers. Of course, the father shows up. We got to rekindle, and we need to do that before the runtime's over, and we got to do that before this, and
right.
switch
Because
it up.
and it,
Bring them in again. Have another fight. You know,
because
have them
he
die. Have you win the race and lose your father, and it's like, I did it, Dad, and now we're all in there just, oh my God, he did it for his dad.
Because of course
Stuff like that.
the first, because we see that he's doing all these races and parents aren't there, but the first race that he watches, that's just so happened to be the race that he gets into the accident.
Right? That's crazy. That's crazy. Then actually, their dad's like, told him not to do it.
Right.
Told him not. He can't drive. I've seen him stay. He don't even follow the lines. He don't even follow the lines in the game. I knew he was going to crash. And you know what I'm saying?
If he would have said that in the movie, I would have lost it. I would have lost it. If his mom is sitting there breaking down, he was like, I knew that was gonna happen. He didn't follow lines in the game. He wasn't gonna follow lines in real life.
He don't listen. I told that boy he don't listen. Now I gotta fly out there to see if he all right.
Told his ass he should have stayed in the train yard.
That's horrible.
If he was uncoupling trains, he would be in the hospital right now.
He'll be right here, right now. Give me some smokes. He don't even smoke. Give me some smokes. So it again, we were coloring by now. I wanted to say, now here's the thing. I won't say that it's super, because it's not super. It's not super. To answer your question, Spider, it's not super. I wanted to give it super, but here's the thing. It's good in a sense of what it is. It's a go see. You should see it. If you're curious, if you should watch it, you should watch it. It's an underdog story. It's a feel-good story. It's a paint by numbers story, though. It's one of the best paint by numbers stories that we've seen in a long time. It's a good movie. It just falls short of super status for those X, Y, and Z reasons. And here's a question I want to ask you, Spider, because we've been doing All Things Super now for a while. I want to ask this question to you. We talked about this before, but has the status of super risen since we started these projects?
I don't think.
You don't think it has? I feel like it gradually has. And at the same time, our status of whether it's super or not has risen, but the quality of movies have decreased.
So,
I
do
said
you
it. I
think
said it.
that
I said it.
if this movie, in the way that it is right now, if this movie would have come out, we first started doing all things, think we would have rated it as a super movie?
I think if this movie would came out after Gran Turismo, the game came out, then it would still not be super.
No, I don't think our barometer of what's super versus what isn't super has gotten more strict over
First of
our
all, I want you to know
episodes.
you lost like 10 people when you said barometer. Just want you to know that right there. No disrespect to the 10.
But I feel like we pretty much stuck by the same principles on what makes a super movie versus what makes a movie not super. You know, we one of the things that we always talk about is the story, and but it's not just that a movie has to have a serviceable story. It has to be the excitement, or you know, if it's a more dramatic movie, have the drama that really makes you go, oh damn, you know, and it's
Yeah,
the
Ginger Spice brought that. If you wanna be my lover.
but it's the combination of those moments with the you know the story, the excitement of it that makes for a movie. And we look at the movies that we have rated as super, and then we look at the movies that we've rated as not super. We're
Oh,
not
they're all
saying
over the
that.
place.
Yeah, it is.
I
Well,
think I said Morbius was super. I don't know.
I think you
Ain't no telling.
did.
I probably did. I like the way he had super hearing.
I,
Like waves on his ears. Like what?
I made Michelle watch that movie. Came down after it came out. After
First
it
of
went to
all,
Netflix.
you don't love her at all. I could tell that right now. It's a super
Listen,
disaster what it was.
she's made me watch The Bachelor. She's made me watch what's that? The Circle. All of these like love reality dating shows
Yeah,
on Netflix.
she don't love you either.
She,
God damn.
the Morbius was,
God
you
damn.
know, it was just it was
Compliment compared to
get you
that.
back.
Yeah.
But you
Gotta.
if we and for you know this is for our repeat listeners, this is for new listeners, if we say that a movie is
Hit the
not
like and
super,
subscribe button.
hit the like and subscribe button. But if we say a movie is not super, we're not saying that the movie is necessarily a bad movie. If we think a movie is a
No.
bad movie, we will outright and say that the movie was a bad
Yes,
movie.
we do not pull punches for here. Don't let Spider name fool you. We do not pull punches here. We let you know it
but
is trash.
but it's just those movies that we say that aren't super, but they're still good movies. Like we were talking about with Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle was a good movie, but it just wasn't a super movie. And I think Gran Turismo kind of falls into that same category with Blue Beetle. It's a good movie because it's a safe movie. It's a very safe
Yes, that's
biopic
exactly what
type
it is.
movie. You know, again, you have a an underdog story. They're coming from the bottom. They're always being told that they
Great.
can't do it, and then in spite of all of the doubters and the naysayers, you know, they overcame everything. Right, so it's something
To
that
achieve third
to
place.
achieve third place, but it's one of those things. Like we said, it's just a safe movie. It doesn't do anything
No, it doesn't push the envelope
inspiring.
at
It doesn't push
all.
the envelope at all,
Mm-mm.
right? But you kind of can't expect it to because this is an adaptation of someone's life. So you don't want to
Mm.
go into it and make it like insanely fantastical. Like he didn't, you know, come out of the womb racing cars. You know, oh, I've been behind the steering wheel since I was 2 years old. You know, all this other kind of stuff. They're not over exaggerating the facts, but they're over dramatizing the facts. And you know, it's because it's a movie. But they can't do anything like they can't push the envelope because this is just following a person's journey to get to where they are now. And so, like we said, it was decent. It told a story, and it told a story fairly well.
Fairly
But
well.
it didn't do anything above
It
and
didn't
beyond
push the
to
envelope. It
push it
didn't
to that
have you
super
on the edge of
status.
your seat.
Right.
It wasn't water cooler conversation topic. You didn't run back to work Monday and say, "Hey, did you see the new Gran Turismo?" It just
Yeah.
didn't take you there, and that's what that is. I mean, shit, if you don't have nothing else to do and you like to go fast, you don't really go fast a lot, but it's there to go fast too. Maybe.
But let us know in the comments what you thought about Gran Turismo, if you're a fan of the game, or if you just so happen to see the movie and you're a fan of the movie now. But let us know what you thought about it.
Did they have a cheat code in the game? Was it up, down, left, right, A, B, select, zero, circle, something? Yes, I don't have the cheat code.
But
maybe it unlocks like special slick glazed tires or something.
But let us know what you thought about this episode. Remember, if you liked it, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on your favorite podcast streaming platform. And if you want to follow us on social media, just click the link in the description. Find us everywhere. Have accounts.
And leave a comment right here, because you're here, we're here, you leave it, we'll read it. That rhymes.
Oh, I
should be a racer. No simulation required. Oh man, your favorite podcast is right here. All Things Super.
It is. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We'll be back next time with a new episode. But until then, just remember, keep being super.